Hello and welcome back, my beautiful, strong, creative, wonderful people here on this planet, here in the moment, in the now. Thank you for being here. This is the creative life coaching side of my YouTube channel. My name is Rapha Torres. I also go by Rapha as a musician. I have a lot of other names. I wear a lot of hats, do a lot of things. In this video, I'm here to tell you a little bit about my background and my history. And if you didn't catch the intro video to this side of my channel, I recommend you do that. It'll probably be on the side here or the side there, one of these sides, or just go to my YouTube channel and click on Creative Life Coaching and click on the welcome/intro video. So let's get to it. Some of my background that's pertinent to where I am now and to why I feel like this is a calling for me and why I'm inspired to do this and offer this to people, to you watching this video. So let's go back to high school, specifically me dropping out of high school. This was junior year after I moved from Washington State here on Vashon Island, where I'm back now, to Philadelphia. And I went to a school, went from a blue ribbon school, which in Washington means it's a good school, you know, high success rate, good teachers, all this other stuff. I don't know exactly how they rate that. Anyway, I went from a really good school to a really bad school in Philadelphia, a school that doesn't even exist anymore because of violence, because of other stuff that was going on there. And before that even, school was hard for me. It was a struggle. I was labeled as someone who had a learning disability. And because of this, I identified as someone who had something wrong with them. It was also hard for me to find purpose and to be motivated in life in general, because school at this point was a huge part of my life, especially as far as my parents were concerned, and I was already in trouble. I had pretty strict parents, so that's pretty much all I was doing, was going to school, hanging out here and there when I could, playing sports here and there when I could. That led to me feeling kind of worthless and purposeless, and that led to me being suicidal, and I actually attempted to take my own life here on Vashon Island before I was sent pretty much by force to Philadelphia to live with my mom after living here on the island with my dad and my stepmom. So I arrived there and I'm experiencing a plethora of emotions and new difficulty and all that. And I was angry, I felt sad, I felt lonely, I felt once again like I had no purpose. And I went to a school that was even more challenging, and I realized how good I really had it on Vashon Island here. Still didn't matter though. I still didn't care about school. So I ended up dropping out and getting my GED and continue to feel lost, even more lost sometimes, because now I'm just kind of spat out into this adult world and was like, all right, now I guess I just get a job and pay bills. But what a meaning, in my opinion, in my experience, I felt like this was still meaningless, and there's just a missing link, a gap. One of the things I did have was a pretty good friend, and we were corresponding the whole time I was gone and on my journey, and we would started playing this like rhyming game, if you will. We would send a line or two back and forth to each other, and it started out as fun, but eventually I started writing messages that seemed like they were guidance from me to me, and I was surprised at this knowledge, the content of this knowledge, and I was wondering where it was coming from. I felt like, and I know it was my higher self. I was starting to get connected with a higher self, a spiritual side of me that I needed to survive. I needed to help me find purpose. And then synchronistically, I met some friends that lived on my very same block who were into making hip hop, into rapping. And one day they asked me if I wanted to fill a verse on the track, and I ended up doing that. It was a struggle. If some of y'all are here because you're fans of my music, I'll toot my own horn. I'm really good at rapping. I'm really good at making music. People love my music. I love my music. I'm a confident performer today. That was not always the case at all, by far. I never wanted to be a musician. I never wanted to be in the limelight or be famous or be even successful in that way. That was never a goal of mine. I was just hanging out with some friends making some music. And so the same thing started to happen. My first song, in my opinion, was horrible. I had always been a poet, and I've been practicing that whole time, you know, doing this correspondence. So my poetic and rhyming brain and muscle have been flexed plenty. But that wasn't enough. There's a difference between being able to write and then being able to spit or rap rhythmically and with cadence and with the beat, and then also to be able to make it match up with what you hear in your head and to bring that out. So it took me a while. It took me a while of just practicing and hanging out just for fun. We're getting high, we're drinking, we're doing whatever, just making music. And then eventually I fell in love with this. I needed this. This was the only outlet I had. This was some purpose that I had found in life. And I remained serious with this. I started building gear and collecting gear to record more stuff, to make better recordings. And I started spearheading this movement that we had amongst our friends to organize us and to keep us focused. Because I saw this as a positive thing, something that we could do, something that was fun, but also something that, was just something to do that we weren't doing. We were just kind of aimless, kind of all of us, working and doing whatever, but who just wants to work? Then fast forward a little bit, I had a friend who I met from a rowing team, a crew team in Philadelphia, who was tied to this restaurant. It was an Ethiopian restaurant, and he was also running a free radio station, and he invited me, heard some music I made or something like that, invited me to perform on this radio show, invited me to perform at this restaurant. It was fun, but I did a horrible job. I was shaking, I was super nervous, but I still did it. And at first I didn't like it at all. I didn't love it. And it took me years to realize that I didn't love it because I wasn't giving my all to it. How are you gonna know if you love something, if you love someone, if something is for you until you really, really do it in the way that would give you a glimpse into that, So fast forward some years, after years of performing, going to open mics, I always had that fire, but I just didn't give my all, and eventually I realized I had to be willing to embarrass myself and to find my style and just to do that, and I eventually did that and all that good stuff. And here we are now in 2023. I've played shows in a few states. I've played a lot of festivals. I've shared a stage with a lot of influential and some semi-famous and even famous hip-hop artists and other electronic artists and stuff like that. And that was great and all. Then it came to a point where, especially during the peak of COVID, things shut down and I couldn't really make money doing this consistently. And that was the case even when I was doing stuff. I was getting paid a couple $100, sometimes $300 to play a set, but it wasn't all the time. It took all this work, competition. Being an artist within a capitalistic realm was something that was really hard for me. That is really hard for me. Not that I knock it down or I don't appreciate people who do it or have respect for people who do that and succeed. It just didn't really seem after a while like it was really for me. And also it was hard. It was super hard for me to deal with the fact that my passion and my love for music, I felt, wasn't really being reflected by the outcome I was getting. I was kind of greedy and I always wanted more. I looked on Instagram and I was like, well, this dude has this many followers. He's in this country playing a show. He's in this country. What do I have to do to get that? Where are my blessings? And brings me to my next part of the story, meeting Clark Blumenstein. It's a dear friend of mine. Shout out to Clark. He's one of my heroes, someone who helped me build into the cyclical life that feeds into each other like I went into in the first video, and allowing me to synchronize my left and right brain and have my two hands, if you will, working together. So at first I was, beating myself up and I didn't think I had any miracles working for me and that things just weren't working out. And eventually people started, I was throwing my own shows with this sound system that we had built over years and developed with my friend Clark. I was doing that, eventually raised money to buy a camera, the camera that I'm shooting this video on right now. And so people started noticing. They're like, well, whose sound system is that? Who's making these videos? Who's making this content? And I was like, it's me. It's all me, baby. It's all me. Drink some tea. And so people started getting curious and wondering and wanting me to provide this service for them. Asked me how much it would cost for me to show up at their show with my sound system. How much it would cost to film a video, a recap of their show. How much would it cost to do a photo shoot, a video shoot, all this stuff. And so during the height of COVID, I found myself busy and still being able to plan shows and throw shows outside in a safe environment, sometimes kind of sketchy. But still, I was making money and I was staying busy. But most importantly, I was feeding into that circle of my life that allowed me to continue building my skills and my knowledge that would then help me to make my own content. But I was also helping my community and making more connections that I would. And, instead of me just coming in a selfish way and constantly asking, well, what can you do for me? What do you have for me? How much are you going to pay me? What opportunities do you have for me? And so I realized with this, with music specifically and with my creative passion and my vision and what I wanted specifically, that if I had more than one reason to be invited into the room, to the table, that I can then change the reason why I got there. So it didn't matter if one day I was shooting a show or one day I was providing sound for a show, because I made a connection, a lasting connection, a real connection that wasn't on the internet, that allowed me to be in those webs and those circles and to gain the respect and the trust of certain people who would then ask me to come play a show here and there or to do this. And so it fed into each other. So I realized I did have a lot of miracles, a lot of blessings, a lot of, freedom. And when I fully embraced that, things started really opening up for me. So fast forward a little bit more, and my mother, rest her soul, she passed away a few years ago. And, I was going through a lot, COVID, and I received some money from her passing, and I was passionate about buying my own property, getting my own house. And so one day, however many months later, I've been working at a pot farm, and I realized I want to be able to get loans federally if I was working at a weed farm, and therefore it would hinder my ability to buy a property, to buy a house, etc., etc. So I had one of those, aha moments, realizations, epiphanies, if you will, that, hey, dude, you have all the skills and tools you need to do what you want to do and to get paid for it. I got the skills to pay the bills, if you will. And so with those two things, with me having the skills to pay the bills and also me not, me not wanting to work there anymore and not being able to get loans in that way, I decided to jump off the cliff and to trust in the gust that will be provided by the universe, and to spread my wings. And that's what I've been doing for the last year, almost year and a half. And I haven't worked another job this whole time. Let me try and think. I love being honest. There's no point. I'm not here trying to toot my own horn. I'm not saying I'm special or better than you. Actually, I'm saying we could be the same. You can go further than I can. And that's the whole reason why I'm doing this creative life coaching, is to show you that you can take what you have and use that to get what you want. It's like the paperclip thing. You can always trade up. You can always trade up. You can always trade up and upgrade and get further and have everything feed itself and feed into itself. So here we are now. Fast forward, like I said, a year and a half has gone by. I've been paying taxes. I have a legit business. I also have a son who's almost 2 years old. I pay for my bills. I've paid for sometimes other people's bills. I raise my child. I have him most days of the week. I have him 4 days. I pay car insurance. I drive. I have a car. I buy new gear when I need to. And most of this has come from my business and me providing a service to other people like you who may need this. As my company, Real Love Productions, and as being a stage person, as Rapha Rain. And I really have a great time. I really love helping people achieve their dreams and their goals. And like I said, by me doing this, it opens up doors for me to do that for myself, but it's also fulfilling. And I also spend time doing what I love, being in front of or behind a camera, being in front of or behind a sound system, being at shows as a professional, as a creative professional, doing it the way that I want to do it. So here we are. Like I said, fast forward, we'll go from, make it full circle, fast forward 10 plus years from dropping out of high school, being suicidal, all this stuff and having no purpose, and then fast forward some years to being kind of stuck and stagnant with music and feeling like that's weird. So here I am now, counting my blessings, being grateful for y'all, people here that are on my channel now, the people who've come from different walks of my life. Thank you guys. You've made this year truly amazing, especially against all adversity. I've jumped over many hurdles to do this. I I had a learning disability. I was put in the LRC here on island, which is a learning resource center, with other people who didn't really fit into the standardization process of schooling. And I identified as someone who struggled with learning. But you're watching this video, it's a clean video. I've taught myself how to do video production, how to do photo stuff, how to run a business, and how to balance that in this capitalistic world while still maintaining your heart and your soul. And for me, that's all about synchronization of the left and right brain, which is one of my core principles. So I think that pretty much covers my background story and then gets us to here, where we are right now. So thank you guys for watching this. If you think you could benefit from having an approach like I have and want to learn my tips and tricks and secrets in my daily work and how I actually make it all work and make it possible, hit the link below. We can schedule a time to chat and to do a consultation. I'd love to help you out. I'd love to help you reach your full potential and to use what you have naturally to get where you want. It's really, I won't say it's easy, but it's not as complicated. It doesn't have to be as complicated. I've had a lot of lessons and a lot of things given to me by other people freely, and I wish to do that in a way to help you guys, and then we can help each other, be mutually beneficial. That's the way I like to do it. So thanks for tuning into this video. Once again, if you missed the intro video, go to that in my channel. It should be on one of these sides in the related videos, or you might have to actually go to my channel and click on that. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.